Then we have an extra item in our programme this week. We've got the fantastic Nissan Mobil 500 from Wellington in New Zealand. We show this to you as a preview to Sky Channel's coverage of the 1987 World Touring Car Championship. Yes, cars in the race. So now we move down to New Zealand and the fantastic Nissan Mobil 500. This is a real round-the-house race, and it's promoted by Strathmore Sports. They're going to be the promoters for the 1987 World Touring Car Championship, a series all 11 races which we'll be covering here on Sky Channel's International Motorsports. The series looks fast and exciting with plenty of manufacturer interest. Of course, the main talking point here in Wellington was the recent announcement of the World Touring Car Championship. And during the press conference, we took time to talk to two of the leading contenders and the man responsible for promoting the series.
They say it's on. Well, I always thought it was. But certainly it gives a lot of the other teams, I think, a bit the level of confidence. We're working full bore towards that goal. I mean, we've got cars under construction, parts being manufactured, and we've even got the berth booked in the luggage hold of a jumbo jet to get the cars to that Monza race.
You know, I think that it's going to take a lot of hard work, but I think that Strathmore Group and FISA have really done a good job of putting this World Touring Car Championship together. We're a nation of knockers, both Australia and New Zealand, but it's just a matter of sticking in there. We've been just as frustrated or just as the teams and drivers have been, but I'm a fairly determined sort of a person, and I had no doubts that it wouldn't happen.
The Wellington Street Circuit will host round 10 of the championship, and the overseas contingent can expect the same layout of tortured tarmac which greeted competitors last weekend. Qualifying for Sunday's 500 was incident-packed, several skirmishes proving costly for those involved. At the end of qualifying, it was Talmalmo farmer George Fury in the Peter Jackson Nissan Skyline who landed pole, with Peter Brock alongside in the Mobil Commodore. The Aussies were in town, ready to deliver a blow to Tom Walkinshaw and those XJS Jags. And cars coming in for the start now for the 1987 Nissan Mobil 500. The starter's gun goes off, and it's the Talmalmo farmer, Georgie Fury, streaking into the lead. Brock down on the inside of Armin Hana, forces him out. Brock moves to second, Hana is third, and Crosby up on the inside of Larry Perkins.
Behind him, Pear Gunner Anderson in the Volvo. He's sharing with Gary Croft. Then Jim Richards, a very good start in the BMW.
Through the left-hander, just look at the lead. Fury stretching it all the time over Brocky. Now Hana starting to move up on the tail of Brock, and he's taking Graham Crosby up with him. They've also got away just a little from Larry Perkins. Anderson, Harvey up on the inside as well, and the field already starting to stretch, and this isn't even the first lap. Fury and the Nissan were looking too good for the field up until the halfway mark. That's when the fan belt shattered and cooked the motor as the New South Wales driver headed to the pits.
Fred Gibson, that's a real disaster.
It's our first DNF for a long time, actually, Neil. The car threw a fan belt and overheated the engine and cooked the engine. One of the marshals told me he was spewing something out front of the bonnet. We didn't know what it was until the car come in, and it's thrown a fan belt off for some reason.
There were any number of hard luck stories. Larry Perkins at one stage had the centre victory, only to have co-driver David Parsons reshape his Commodore. The Jags also had a topsy-turvy run. Hahn never stopped charging, flat spotting some tyres on the way until he finally looped the XJS, which left Wyn Percy to pick up the pieces. Here's Wyn Percy in the Walkinshaw entry, running in fourth on the road at the moment. Looking extremely competitive and surprisingly coming back through the field. Now the distance is still on their side. In fourth, ahead of them of course, as he screams up into the left-hander here, McIntyre and of course John Harvey in the Mobil Commodore. Still a lot of work to do. As they swing through here, Wyn Percy giving this race absolutely everything as the Jaguars make their competition farewell in Group A homologation here on the Shaky Isles this season. Wyn Percy, fourth on the road as they swing once again across the bridge.
Great comeback from Wyn Percy. Remember, this car qualified in 10th at the hands of Tom Walkinshaw. Then they had more tyre problems. Early in the race, they had to switch to a hard compound. Now he's coming back. He's challenging for second place. He's got the horsepower. Range is up on the outside, and Wyn Percy through to second place in the Nissan Mobil 500. And Percy's in trouble. Win Percy and Strife in the Jaguar.
Yes, he's limping around the circuit. Engine sounding very, very rough indeed. And what wretched luck for Win Percy in car number 51. The Wellington street course took its toll, but for the second straight year, Peter Brock and Alan Moffat were unstoppable. Well, they've managed to out-accelerate again, going down to the left-hander. Peter Brock in 0.5. There's McIntyre in the distance.
Well, he's given the game away. He obviously thinks that...
The race is over.
Yes, and that's a mistake.
Well, it could be a costly one. Here's Brock coming through past the Foster's Bridge. The big crowd here in the Wellington waterfront ready to erupt as the two Mobil Commodores come out of the final chicane back onto the start-finishing straight. And, of course, the 1987 Nissan Mobil 500, a formation finish as they come down the start-finishing line. Chalk it up, 1-2 to the Mobil Holden dealer team. So, victory for Brock and Moffat, and a 1-2 for the Mobil dealer team, with Queensland's Charlie O'Brien and Glenn McIntyre taking third.
Round 1 in the 1987 World Touring Car Championship will be from Monza in Italy on the 22nd of March, and we'll be there to bring you all of the action. So from the Nissan Mobil 500 here in New Zealand, after the break we move to the Camel Motocross World Championship Series in Europe. See you then.